The Team USA situation just got even crazier as we were made aware that Kevin Durant is likely to miss Team USA's next exhibition versus Australia. That has some sources, Celtic sources all over the place, saying that this puts Jaylen Brown right back in line for jumping back into Team USA if Kevin Durant can't end up playing at the Olympics. We're going to go into all this and how Kawhi Leonard's situation might play a similar role in Kevin Durant. Plus, we got to talk about Cooper Flagg, and he had some pretty insane things to say about how the Celtics shaped his development. We got a ton of great stuff coming up on this episode of Celtics Digest, so stick around. We're just going to get right into it, and if you're more interested in the Jaylen Brown, Team USA stuff, feel free to jump ahead to the timestamp, but I do think you guys might be interested in what Cooper Flagg has to say, and honestly, this is just really cool. Now, a lot of you know Cooper Flagg, he's gonna be the first overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft. He was playing, scrimmaging with the Team USA guys this year, a bunch of NBA legends, and he was holding his own. He was actually doing a phenomenal job against them, getting a ton of praise. People saying, I mean, he's a basically can't-miss guy. Next year's draft is gonna be something, but the Celtics, if all things go how we're expecting, are definitely not going to be in contention for that #1 pick. But what is interesting is what Cooper Flagg had to say about the organization. Now, as I'm sure a lot of you guys know, he's from Maine and he grew up a Celtics fan, right? And that is what it is. And take a look at what he had to say here. He said he watched, I think it's this one first. Yeah, we had a couple-hour drive for AAU tournaments, and our little Chrysler van had a movie projector that would come down the middle, and we'd pop in the 85-86 Celtics and the whole championship run and watch game by game. The way they played, the way they got the ball out quickly, moved it down the court, the selflessness and unselfishness on that team of just accepting a role, doing the right things, putting your body on the line, kind of embodies what a good team has to have. Everyone has to sacrifice something. And there's actually a lot of parallels, I think, to this year's Celtics team as well. Now, part of that is because the team had so much star power that you can afford to move the ball around, but it was pretty similar back then too. You know, when you have a team that's very heliocentric like the Mavs, well, I guess you have Luka and Kyrie, whatever, but there's not as much team ball because there's not as much incentive to, and not everyone can score at the same level as your stars. You're not going to move it around, but it is really interesting that Cooper learned from that 85-86 Celtics team. Of course, went 15-3 in the playoffs that year. Here's a trivia question for you guys. Now, I was not alive for the 85-86 run. I'm sure a lot of you weren't either, but some of you probably were. There was only one player that whole season that started every regular season game and playoff game that they played in, right? There was no one that started all 82 regular season games and all 18 playoff games, but there was one player who started all the games they played in the regular season and playoffs. Let me know if you know who that is down below, because it's not who you'd expect. But anyway, I just wanted to highlight this. I think Cooper Flagg's a really interesting guy, and, you know, one day I'd love to hope for him to be a Boston Celtic. It's not going to happen anytime soon. He's going to get drafted by one of the teams that's at the bottom of the barrel, and it's not going to be the Celtics this time, but who knows, maybe later in his career, he can make those childhood dreams come true and win another banner with our team. But hey, that's it. That's the future. We got to talk about the now. And in the now, there's a lot of crazy stuff going on with Team USA. And we got to talk a bit more about this. Now, there's already been enough crazy stuff. You guys, I'm sure, are very familiar with the whole, you know, Derrick White making the team over Jaylen Brown situation. We've discussed it amongst ourselves here at Celtics Digest, myself, Bruce, and Godfrey. But hey, you know what? Jaylen Brown's not on the team right now. That's fine. Derrick White is on the team. And Jaylen was going out tweeting at Nike. Some people thinking he was subtweeting like Jayson Tatum, Derrick White, kind of throwing some shade. I don't think any of that was what was happening. But of course, as we see the whole roster revealed, he was not there. But then Kawhi Leonard went out and got replaced with Derrick White. Okay, we all know that. Fine. Team USA kind of wanted a point of attack defender. But there was a revelation just today. Again, I mean, it's not just today. We've heard Kevin Durant had a lot of calf trouble over the past few years, really. I mean, we remember, you know, his calf injury turned into that Achilles tear when he was still in the Warriors. But he has another calf injury this time, and he is likely to miss Team USA's next exhibition versus Australia. The thing is, Steve Kerr is still unconcerned with Durant's status, but Joe Vardon of ESPN, well, he had something pretty interesting to say. He said if things change and it becomes clear that Durant can't play at the Olympics, Brown's name could resurface as a replacement. And I think he's just hedging his bets here because he doesn't want to say for certain that it'll be Jaylen Brown, but I'm going to make the proclamation right here. It is going to be Jaylen Brown. If Kevin Durant can't play at the Olympics, what other player could you possibly bring in? You know, they said, oh, Derrick White is a good point of attack defender. That's fine. The team already has a bunch of it. Look at this team. Look at all the good defenders they have in the team. Halliburton's not bad. He's not super elite, but I mean, you already got Jrue Holiday, and I guess it makes sense to have Derrick White as like kind of one of your elite defending guards alongside Jrue Holiday. But you go there and you point out a really good defending wing, right? Just a wing that's an extremely good defender. Kawhi, of course, but he's not playing. Derrick White's in now. Jayson Tatum, he certainly is a great defender. We all know that. I could argue Jaylen Brown is better, but maybe some of you will disagree. But still, I think Jaylen Brown would be the best defending wing on this team if he was added to him today. And that's why I'm so confused as to why he wasn't seemingly in this well, I'm sure he was in the conversation, but why he wasn't added in the first place. And again, like, that's no slander against Derrick White, but if Kevin Durant can't play and Jaylen Brown still doesn't make this team, it would be absolutely insane. But Steve Kerr, they asked him about it, and he's like, what are you going to do, Steve, if Durant can't play? Well, he had this to say: I know there's still a couple of weeks before we have to make a decision roster-wise, so we're just taking it day by day. It's just not something we've even discussed at this point because we feel good that Durant is going to be okay. And I mean, look, that's a fair, level-headed take from Team USA's head coach Steve Kerr. But we saw Kawhi, and it wasn't only, the Clippers or Kawhi's injury that kept him out. Team USA played a part in that decision, as we saw. It was Team USA kind of came out and said it was in our best interest to say, hey, Kawhi, why don't you get sent home? Why don't you go back and you keep your rehab up and hopefully you can play next season? Kevin Durant is going to play an incredibly important role for whatever team he's on upcoming this season. And while, yes, it would be amazing for those of us cheering for Team USA. Well, I'm from Canada. Maybe I shouldn't say that. But anyway, whatever. It's still fun to watch Team USA. Durant is going to be amazing. He's especially amazing in Olympic basketball, where the three-point line is like his bread and butter, which is like a deep mid in the NBA. So, but Kevin Durant, like, at this point in his career, if this calf injury keeps lingering, I would say there's a bigger chance than people are letting on that Durant is not going to play in the Olympics, or at least not going to be at 100%. And if he's not going to be at 100%, I think you want to bring in guys that will be able to bring 100%. And Jaylen Brown has shown day after day, time after time, he's ready to put in the work. He put in that work to get to where he is in the NBA today. He has put in that work. He has shown everyone why he should be on this roster, and he's not. So if Kevin Durant cannot go, which I really, actually, at this point, I'm starting to think that he's not going to be able to go just based off some vibes. It's purely vibes, but calf injuries are not great. He has a bad history with calf injuries. He still needs to be very good in the NBA next season. I'm sure he wants to play on the Olympic team, but there is a better defending, there is a guy who just won Finals MVP on the sidelines ready to go. So if there's even any doubt about Kevin Durant's injury, it has to be Jaylen Brown. And like I said, I think that possibility is maybe a bit higher than we'll give him credit for. I want to hear from you guys down below. Look, I know you're all going to say, yeah, Jaylen Brown should make it over Kevin Durant, but I want you to leave a percentage in the comment. What is your percent certainty that Durant won't play in the Olympics? And after that, what is your percent certainty that it will be Jaylen Brown who replaces him? Because for me, I'm actually sitting at a 60-70% that Durant won't play. Again, this is vibes. That's what we do here. It's vibes. There's no report exactly, but you're never going to say, oh yeah, Kevin's injury is a bit worse than we thought. Kawhi Leonard was doing great until he wasn't, until we saw that video of him limping, and then they said, no, he's not on the team. So you never know. It could come last minute. They're not going to reveal his health. Of course, they're not going to give an advantage to other teams heading into the Olympics. So I think it's more likely than we think, but I'd love to hear from you guys down below, because that'll do it for this episode of Celtics Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. You guys have been supporting us like crazy. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you for tuning in to me. Maybe some of you don't even know me. I haven't been hosting on here in a long, long time. But hey, Bruce is on vacation. Godfrey couldn't make the video. I'm here today, so hopefully, I made a video that you guys enjoyed. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. I'll catch you in the next one.